All right, welcome everybody to the Wednesday afternoon team call. I'm super excited for those of you that are here live with us, and those of you going to watch the recording later. That's why we have them, so you can work your full-time jobs, be full-time parents, and then build this business part-time in your gaps of your time. Today we have a special guest, Rose, with us today. I'll give her a proper announcement shortly. And I've been thinking lately, recently, or forever, I've been doing announcements before our team calls. And I realized I'm just repeating what's on the national wake-up call. So you guys just need to make sure that you're there, getting that information there so we don't waste more of your time here just going over things that we've already gone over. So no announcements like that today. Check all those out in your coach breaking news and on the national wake-up call. But I do want to give a special shout out to Melissa Zeidler in the Team Cup for the new coach section of the Team Cup. I don't know exactly where they ended out, but like a few days before, they were in third place in the new coach category. So shout out to Melissa Zeidler and her crew of ladies for their job in that. And then I do want to make an announcement that these calls that have been at noon Mountain Time are going to be changed starting next week to 1 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time. And we have scheduled out 9 weeks so far of elite coaches from what's called the Roundtable Group. And I chose specific people, and these people that I chose, these coaches that I chose, are all coaches who didn't get their momentum in their business till after 3 or 4 years. And then something clicked, and then they went on and crushed it. And now they've built elite teams and great, incredible incomes and businesses and communities. So I wanted to do that because I know there's people. Sometimes as you come into the team, you see people that crush it really fast out of the gate, and then you can feel that sense of, I'm just not getting it, or what's wrong with me, all of these limiting beliefs. And so I want to bring on a whole bunch of stories to help you know that it doesn't matter how fast you do it, just hear these stories of people that stayed consistent with it, continued to grow, and when the time was right for them, they had their moment where they rose up and broke through and started building incredible teams. So with that being said, remember that will be 1 o'clock Mountain Time on Wednesdays. I'll announce them in the team page every single week, along with who will be speaking on those. But today we have Rose Smith. I also met her on the round table recently, over probably 3 or 4 months ago, when we had some spots open up at our annual Big Sky ski retreat. And what I love about Rose is she just jumped on board. She saw an opportunity and she jumped on board and came with us. And it was great to meet her and her husband. She is a retired high school athletic trainer. She leads a 7-star diamond team. Her team ended as a premier team for 2021. And she's a Success Club All-Star legend for 40 months. If you don't know what that means she has hit Success Club for 40 consecutive months without missing 1 month. So this woman knows what she's doing, leading that team and running her own business with those, those vital income producing activities, because she's helping people every single month in her own business, but also leading a premier team. So with that being said, Rose, I'm going to pass the time over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Scotty. So yeah, when I saw that on the round table, I was like, damn, we're freaking getting on this. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I mean, I knew who Scotty was, but not like that. I'm like, I'm just gonna jump on in on this because why not? Right. Just like jumping in with this business, it was scary, nerve-wracking, not knowing these people, but you're not going to get anywhere if you stay behind closed doors. And if you guys see, I'm legit in a closet hiding from my kid. So if you're like, yeah, what a top coach she is. This is just real life, right? So hi everyone. My name is Rose Smith. I'm super excited to talk to you because and I love how Scotty kind of said, I wanted to bring on people who kind of started slow. And I'm like, yeah, like that was kind of me. So I definitely want to share with you guys my story. So I was a high school athletic trainer. I grew up thinking get good grades, go to college, do that career, retire when you're 65 and live happily ever after. I got to the age of 25 and said, no way in hell. I am making it to 65, drowning, and feeling like I was 50. I woke up every day exhausted. By the time I got to work, I think I had like 3 cups of coffee and I was just like falling asleep. I was 30 pounds overweight, and being an athletic trainer, I'm like, where did I go wrong? Like I knew all of the things, but I was just so unhappy with just the ruts I was in that I just couldn't crawl out of it. We all kind of have that aha moments, you know, being in a closet, not being able to get any of my jeans on. I think I just got to a point where I was just like sick and tired of my own BS excuses. And I would still, like, during my prep period. So as an athletic trainer, I would go in around like 10 o'clock. Some days I'd be there 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. If it's, fall season, then football games, nights, weekends, holidays. I didn't have the typical teacher schedule with holidays. Like it was winter break, didn't matter, like sports still had to go on. But I still got like a lunch break, whatever. So I would like go in the gym, go on the treadmill, do like little stuff here and there. And I'm like, I'm not getting any results. And I mean, like, I knew, like in my mind, I knew, but I still couldn't get out of that. So my brother did a crazy workout program called Insanity. And I was like, yo, man, like hook me up with those DVDs, back in the day, almost 8 years ago. Um, I wanted him to burn them for me. He goes, nah, like I ain't doing that for you. I was like, fine. So what did I do? I went on to Amazon. So I had no coach. I had no idea about this whole crazy Beachbody community, but I got that DVD, put it in every single morning when I woke up. I lived in a little condo, like 5 by 5 living room. I was on the second floor doing Insanity. You guys ever done it? It's like jumping nonstop. And not once did I get the broomstick. I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm good. But I did it by myself. And I was like, holy shit. I went my whole life thinking I had to like go to the gym and spend hours and just cardio. And I'm like, do other people know about this? Like, people need to know about this. And in that video, you hear the commercial of go to teambeachbody.com, log in and get your free coach. I'm like, what does this free coach freaking know about? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of want to know. So I went onto the website. I signed, I got just a free membership. It took my coach about 10 times to reach out to me. And I was like, I knew who she was. And I knew why she was messaging me, but I was like, "Meh," I was just so hesitant. I had like 500 walls up, but I don't know, something about the 10th time, I was like, fine, like she just has to like shut up. If I message her back, she'll like shut up, right? But she put me, it wasn't even a challenge group back in those days. It was just kind of like her, I don't know, her like free group, we'll say. And in that free group, she commented something like, do you want to be healthy and fit and get paid for it? I was like, I know she's freaking talking about this dumb coaching thing, but something in me was just like, because I couldn't take commuting. I had, 2 hour commute, an hour there, an hour back. I was in a long distance relationship with my now husband. Like I said, I worked late nights, weekends, holidays. I was so burnt out. I was like, could I actually do this? Total introvert. I mean, I still consider myself an introvert. I think all Beachbody coaches, most of us are introverts. There's a few unicorns out there that are extroverts, but I like to be by myself. But I saw my coach, just this average person. She was a single mom. I think she was like 40 at the time. And I'm like, damn, if she could freaking do this, like I could totally do this. So I got on the phone with her and I was like nickeling and diming her with everything. I was like, hey, you said I got 25% off. So back in those days, the challenge pack was 220. So I'm like, 25% off of 220 is blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, 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 that's not how it works. I was like, well, I'm not signing up then. But somehow she wheeled me back in. So I was super, super hesitant, but it was just that slight little voice saying to myself, just keep going, just keep going. And at the same time, everything happens at the same time for a reason. I love QVC, as you can tell by my clothes and my makeup. I love QVC. So I love buying stuff. So I was watching QVC and Tony Robbins was on and he's like, change your life. Listen, get my DVDs, get my journal. I was like, this is such BS. And back in that day. I was living paycheck to paycheck, barely making it by. I legit had to steal. I didn't have cable, but I stole the internet from my neighbor who I didn't talk to. Like, she didn't have it password protected, but some days I was still able to like get on. That's how like living paycheck by paycheck I was. And I was like, all right, a $500 like Tony Robbins program from QVC. I was like, all right, I kind of trust QVC. So I was such in that hole that I was like, whatever, if this works, maybe it will. So at that time, I was, listening to Tony for like 3 hours every day, like 5 hours on the weekends if I was traveling to go see my husband. Um, and it just all clicked for me. So if it wasn't for Tony Robbins, if it wasn't for, that coaching opportunity and insanity all coming in at that same time, I mean, I have no idea where I would be today, but it definitely took me some time to get started. I was not somebody that hit Success Club right out the gate. I did not have a team right away. I think maybe like the first year I was 1 star. I think by my second year I was once I got to 2 star, that's when things really got moving for me. But I think the change that really happened for me was my coach just mentored me and loved on me and poured belief into me. I always had that knowing in my heart that I was made to do something more, that there was something else out there for me. And I knew I had this leadership quality, but she just kind of like opened that up for me a little bit more. So if you're like, I don't have the skills, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. All you need to have is the belief, and you figure everything else out as you go. So I just listened to her, and here I am 8 years later. I quit my high school athletic training job, I think 3 years into this business. I told myself once I made 6 figures, peace out. And pretty much on that day, I was like, bye, I'm out of here. We moved down to the shore. And now we have a 2-year-old son, which is crazy because I have PCOS. If any of you are familiar with that, he was a big surprise. I didn't think I'd have a kid. So Beachbody really has given me like so like when I was pregnant, I'll try not to cry, but when I was pregnant, I was laying in bed thinking like, thank God I don't have to go to school and worry about who's going to watch my kid, or missing my kid on the weekends because I had to work, or not being there for dinner because I had to work. I'm like, thank God I took the chance on this and just did it. I didn't know I would need this so badly, but it has given me so much more than I ever could imagine with my health, of course, my finances, but with my relationships and just the quality of time I get to have with the people I love. And even like with my husband in January, in an hour, I was like, yep, we're going to Montana. He's like, all right, cool. Things like that. So if you're feeling like, I'm just not getting anywhere, or you're not getting there quick enough, or you're looking at everybody else, I always told myself it didn't matter how long it took me. My superpower is I can do anything and outlast anybody. So I might not be good at it, but I can hang in there and I can stick with it. So just stick with it. Just stick with this until you get that momentum going. Once you have that flywheel going, you're going to see it spin even faster. So that's just a little bit about my story. Today, I'm going to talk about overcoming objections. I feel like in the beginning of coaching, that was just something that really helped me with my conversations, because we all come up with those objections of price and time and this and that. And I'm like, what do I say back to these people? Right? Like, this is such an awkward conversation. And that was very hard for me to learn, but this is a skill you can learn. Like, you can learn how to take control of a conversation and how to walk people through a certain step so that they can see that what you have to offer is what they need. So I kind of talk in a lot of like sports related things just from my athletic trainer background. But I always kind of like relate Beachbody and your conversations and inviting people to baseball, right? Like Babe Ruth, I don't know stats, but Babe Ruth struck out a crap load more times than he actually hit home runs, but he freaking crushed it. So if you're getting a lot of no's, cool. Like you're doing it right. Like that's part of this business. So first and foremost, you have to be comfortable with getting no's. And if you're not, you're just not going to make it through this. So know that getting no's is totally fine. If you get a yes here and there, sweet. You're just like Babe Ruth. If you can get a yes here and there, you're going to be doing great. So just know knows regardless it's gonna happen, and it's just about reaching out to people, not getting a yes or a no, but just having those conversations and seeing where you can help those people. So our job is not to get the yes, it's to make those connections and then see if what we have can serve people. So I always want to make sure I prevent those objections before they even happen. So obviously, with your social media, you want to build trust. You want to put value out there. You want to tell your stories. So facts tell, stories sell. What's Kendra Hall's books? Stories that sticks. If you're having a hard time with sharing your story or knowing what stories to share or how to put it out there in a way that people are going to be intrigued and be pulled in by your story, definitely get that book. I love Kendra Hall. It's really good on Audible too. So that's called Stories That Stick. But you want to share your story behind the products. No one cares about the products, guys. I mean, there's a million bazillion things out there on Instagram. People sign up with you for you. So have them start to know who you are and what you're about in your stories. So when you're having these conversations with people, right, make that emotional connection. And that's going to start by telling your stories and building that trust, but finding out their why, right? So when you're first having that conversation, I know I did this as a brand new spanking coach, is like you beach body vomit all over the place, right? They're like, they're interested. Bah. I have no idea what she needs, why she wants it, where she is in her life right now. So make sure that you find out their why and get that emotional connection before you say, oh, 9 week control freak would be great for you. You don't know that. You have to know um, their why and asking lots of questions. Back in the day, we used to call it forming. But now I feel like it's just be a normal human being, right? Like if you were just having a normal conversation with your friend, like what kind of questions would you need to know from them to help them with their health and fitness, right? So I always kind of do like the typical, I'll go through like the fitness questions, like what kind of goals do you want to see with your fitness? What do you typically struggle with? What kind of workouts do you like or do you want to try out? And then I'll kind of like go into the nutrition piece. So asking all of those questions just brings out that, because sometimes they don't even know why, right? They might see your before and after picture and they're like, yeah, I want to look like that for summer. But deep down, like, do they really know, like, oh crap, I haven't worked out in 6 months? Or like, ooh, yeah, like the food that I ate yesterday probably wasn't the best option, right? So you're kind of like peeling back the layers and opening up their eyes to what they're doing by asking them all of these questions. So GoPro, hopefully you guys have heard of it, by Eric Worre. That was a huge game changer for me. Until I read that book and actually did the actions in that book, because it's a little bit awkward, right? To like follow this procedure or protocol of like having these conversations, but it really just helps you take control of the conversation so you can have a step-by-step plan for getting people through kind of like the initiation process per se, right? So that one I would say 100%, like if you haven't read it, go read it, because it just gives you a plan and helps you take control of that conversation. Because sometimes like if my coaches are struggling like with conversations, I'm like, come on, send me your conversations, like screenshot it for me. And I see their word vomit. I was like, you ain't following what I'm sending you. Like, you're letting the other people take control of the conversation. I'm like, that's why you let up, or that's why you ended up down this rabbit hole, is because you didn't ask the questions so you can get the answers that you needed to then say what would be the best fit for them, right? Um, this one I know a lot of people don't do because we're in the age of social media and DMs, but getting on the phone with people makes a huge difference. I mean, hearing my voice now versus me just typing things out, I have this I sound like I'm 15, right? Like I have a lot of energy. So people thrive off of that. So whatever people need, they're going to hear in your voice. So if you, especially for those conversations that you feel like it's like 2 weeks, it takes them like 5 days to answer one question, get on the phone with them. Be like, "Hey, let's do this really quick, 5 minutes. What's your phone number? Do you have some time tonight?" Right? It's going, and even I remember my first phone call was with a free lead, and I don't even think I mentioned Beachbody. Like, that's how awfully bad it was. So, you might suck. You're probably gonna suck the first few times on your phone calls, just like with your conversations, right? But you're gonna fail forward. You're gonna figure your way out. You just have to rip off that band-aid and get people on the phone. You're not going to know if it works for you unless you try it, right? And when you're speaking with people, speak to them like as if they're already joining. So, like, say, like, hey, when you join, you're going to get my weekly meal plan. You're going to see all the other ladies in our group and they're going to cheer you on. What flavors of ice cream do you love the most? Like, talk as if they're already signing up. And kind of like I said before too, like be coachable with your conversations. If you feel like you're always getting stuck somewhere, ask for help. Send your coach, send your upline some screenshots. Say like, hey, where am I missing out? How can I get better? And always watch your mindset. Doesn't matter if you're not saying it to them, but energy is transactional. Like if you're feeling like, they're just going to tell me no, and guess what? They're just going to tell you no. So go, and before I do anything else in the day, I will journal. Um, I call it morning pages. I forget what book it's from, but my upline is Keith Callahan, and I think he talks about this in Built to Last, his book. But I do like 3 pages of a journal. So I'll wake up in the morning and literally anything that's on my brain, I just like brain dump 3 pages. Makes no sense. But I'm just getting all of that energy out there. And then I'll do, typically I'll work out and then I'll do my PD, but I don't talk to people before I do that, because if they're getting empty rows, if they're getting me with my negative energy, like it's pointless for me to talk to people until I fill myself up. So make sure that you're showing up with the right mindset, and also like ask yourself too, do you think like if you're getting a lot of the I don't have money, or the um it's too expensive, then you have to ask yourself, like, do you think this is too expensive? Um, I remember when I think Beachbody on Demand for is like you're just giving it away, like what people get, right? Like, so hopefully if you don't feel that way, like go look at some before and after pictures, go into Beachbody on Demand, look at all the stuff that you get. There's so much value that we give to people for 160 freaking dollars. It just blows my mind. So gut check yourself and ask yourself, do you believe that this is worth it? And hopefully that answer is yes. And same thing with the workouts. Hopefully you believe that the workouts work. If they don't, tomorrow start with the program from day one, do the nutrition plan and do it from start to finish. Get kick ass before and after pics. that's like the best way to explode your business is just do your job. Get really great before and after pics, right? Um, and then the belief in yourself. You have to, and that's why PD is so important. If you don't believe it, then why should they, right? Like if they don't see your confidence, and I think confidence is like the number one thing that you need to portray, even if you have to fake it until you make it a little bit. Just be confident in who you are. You might not have no idea of how to build a 7-star team, but if you have that confidence that you're eventually going to get there. And I remember this from Keith telling us when Bob Lucido used to ask him to be a coach over, and they're like best friends. Bob used to ask Keith like every week, "You want to be a coach? You want to join my team?" Blah blah blah. And Keith legit blocked his best friend on Facebook. And Bob went to Summit like back in the day. I think like I don't even know, like the first Summit. And Keith said Bob came back with just a different energy, a different vibe of knowing he was going to build a team. Not that he was there, but something, a mindset shifted for him. And that's when Keith was like, okay, he has this confidence in it. Let me give it a go. So sometimes all you need is that confidence for other people to say, okay, I can do this too. So you have all those things that I just said. You tried to prevent objections from happening. You believe in the value, the products, yourself, and you're still getting objections. So these are some things, and I would jot these down on how you can handle these objections with your conversations. So, one way is to say, I don't know, all I know is. So, this is really good for when people say, I don't even know what's hot right now. Like, if people say, like, how about this shake compared to Shakeology? Or how about this keto compared to blah, energize? I don't know. All I know is Shakeology has changed my life from my IBS to me not spending $10 at Dunkin' Donuts every morning to me keeping off 30 pounds for 8 years. Like it is amazing. I have no idea. Shakely or 310 shakes or Herbalife. I don't know. All I know is dot, dot, dot. Fill in the blank with your story. Fill in the blank with what the products have done for you. Another great technique is called feel, felt, found. So this is just validating and then overcoming that objections without getting defensive and attacking people. So if they're like, "Ugh, that's too much money," I'm not gonna be like, "Well, you're just cheap." No, I'm not gonna say that, right? I'm gonna say, "Hey, I totally get how you feel. I I felt the same way when I first signed up. I was nickel and diming with my coach over like 25 bucks. But depending upon if it's for a challenge pack or for the business opportunity, I can say, I saved 10. I used to, I mean, I haven't had Dunkin' Donuts in forever. But I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts and spend all that money. So you can, use that. Or if it's about the business opportunity and people are like $15 a month, I'm like, really? You can't get a business anywhere for $15 a month that you can eat, that can make you happy and healthy and give your life like this amazing transformation. Anyways, I would fill in the blank with what I found, right? I feel, felt, found. So I know exactly how you feel. Or even if you're a brand new coach and you don't really have a story yet, you can say, hey, I get how you feel. My mom felt the same way when she first signed up. She was super hesitant, but she signed up because she's my mom, and that was true. But now she loves Shakeology, and every month she still calls me and says, when is my shake gonna ship? I only have a few left. I'm like, Mom, I told you to write it down. Your shake ships on the 17th every single month, right? So use stories of other people if you don't have your own yet. And then I know Carl reminds us of the 30-day money back guarantee, but it really does work. I think a few months ago I bought some clothes from Zaya, some workout clothes. And they're like, yeah, you can return it. I was like, cool. Cause I'm like short. I'm like 5'2". I have weird hips. Um, and their stuff just like didn't fit me. I had to pay like them money to put it back on a shelf. I don't know. I forget what that's called. I'm like, that's freaking ridiculous. I'm like, here say you could eat the whole freaking bag. You can do our workouts for 30 days and you'll get your whole money back. Like, that's crazy. And I think that's just comforting for people. So I'll just say, like, if I feel they're still being pretty hesitant, I'll say, hey, listen, I hate saying this because it sounds salesy, but there is a 30-day money back guarantee. You can try it. If you don't get the results that you want, you can totally send it back. So I always like disarm the situation like that. Like if you don't want to be salesy, be like, hey, listen, I don't want to be salesy, but dot, dot, dot. Or, hey, I'm really scared to invite you to my coaching opportunity, but dot, 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 dot. So you don't always have to like show up like, I'm the shit, right? Like you can just show up saying, like, hey, I'm a little, you intimidate me a little bit because, you're so cool and I've admired you for so long, but I would really love to invite you to my coaching opportunity, right? So like, sometimes it's okay to let down your guard, um, and feel like, I'm not 100% confident, but I see where you could really do good with this, right? Um, Sorry, I'm all over the place, but yeah, 30-day money back guarantee, definitely use that. And when you're going through the conversations with people, like when you get down to the end of like, going through their fitness questions, the nutrition questions, and then you're like, okay, this would be the best. My recommendation would be this. This is the best package option for you. That's when you get really specific. Um, and, say you get a year of 500,000 workouts and you get the meditation and you get my accountability group where you can now track your food. Did you guys see that? It's so cool. You can like check off the boxes and all that fun stuff. You can track your workouts. You get my weekly meal plan. So that's where you can get like really specific with people for 160 bucks. If I like, and I do, I list it and it's like, if you're going to say that's not worth 160 bucks, then you know what? Maybe this isn't for you because that's such a great freaking deal, right? So get specific with people when you get down to that point of the conversation at the end after you have formed them and asked them their why and all that stuff. And then if you're still getting some resistance and some objections, I always just ask clarifying questions and asking more because sometimes like you get to a point in the conversation where you're like, okay, and you kind of like just want to like hide and walk away into the corner. But sometimes, like, take a minute to breathe. And even if you like put your phone away for 30 minutes and you think about it, like, you don't have to respond to people right away. It is okay to not respond that very second if you need to just think it over. But if, sometimes I'll say, hey, like, what is your biggest hesitation? Or I'll say, if money wasn't if money wasn't an issue, would you be in? And some people would say like, yeah, like money is a big factor for me. I would say, all right, cool, I totally understand. Do you have 3 friends or family members that would want to do this with you? So that's how you can kind of like break that barrier down a little bit. And if you do ask clarifying questions and you know what, it's just not the right time, that is totally cool. Like, still love people, still support them, even if they decide to go do Peloton. Well, guess what? We're gonna have our own thing now. Or do whatever else. Like, still love on them, still support them because I promise you, they always, always come back around. Like, and I still have people from years ago that are like, all right, I'm finally ready to join. I was like, I know. I was like, I knew it was just a matter of time, but you have to still be here at the end for when they are ready. So even if it is a no and you go through all of those things, feel felt bound, 30-day money back guarantee, still follow up with them monthly, still invite them, especially if, they're still watching you. Even if they're not watching you, it just sometimes has to be the right moment for them. And that's when things kind of click. So some other good, I'm just reading off my little thing here so I kind of stay on track. Some other questions that you can use for clarifying is why is now not a good time? What's holding you back? If it's like a shake thing, like I had somebody today say that she didn't want the shakes, and I'm like, have you tried them before? Or have you tried something else? Or if it's about joining the business, have you ever been in a network marketing company before? Did you have a bad experience? So really like, start digging into these conversations instead of kind of like putting your hands up and like backing away slowly because they put up a wall in the beginning. If people don't have objections, it's just a great way to understand each other a little bit better. So meet those objections with knowing that you're one step closer to a yes instead of seeing it as a wall or a block. That's all I got for you guys. I can definitely hang out, answer some questions. If you guys have any common objections that you're struggling with and don't know how to answer, we can definitely work through that.
I love those. I want to see if there's any questions for you. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask.
And I'll read through the chat.
Yeah.
Bye.
Lacey loves your closet.
I definitely need to organize it.
Yeah. I want to touch base on something you said about like your confidence, like what happened with Bob when he came back from the summit event and then Keith saw that out of him. Like I was mentioning, well, there's multiple times when I have recruited a coach to my team that was a coach like 8 or 9 or 10 years ago that gave up like 8 years ago, and they've just been following us and like watching our content, watching our stories. And so I try to get to meet everybody that is watching my stories. That's how I start my conversation. So, I'll ask questions and they're like, oh, yeah, I like your content. It's inspirational. You talk about family and God and uplifting things. And they're like, but I was a coach. It just wasn't for me. And like, my answer is always, it's just a confidence thing. I'm like, oh, maybe you just didn't do it the way we do it. Like we have fun, like the way that we do it might be different. And it's just like, it's not like validating like, okay, yeah, it didn't work for you. It's just like, just that confidence intrigues them and like, oh, well, what do you do? And it's really not much different other than maybe our definition of success might be different or less pressured than could have been before. But I think that confidence is a big thing. Like I celebrated Melissa Zeidler and her team in the Team Cup. She's a coach that was a coach like 9 years ago, like 4 levels deep in our team. And then she saw that different confidence, and it's a different time of her life. So I think that confidence is a huge thing too, where people can see that and they're like, okay, I see this. I think that's like my biggest objection. What's the word? My biggest way to overcome objections is just with that confidence. And I think it's Tony Robbins that says, like, whoever is more certain will influence the other person. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have any questions for Rose? I have one while we wait for some.
Yeah, sure.
Rose, so you mentioned, I just want to make sure I got this right. So when it really clicked for you, was that when you bought the Tony Robbins thing on QVC and went through that?
No, so it was it was I mean, I always had it in the back of my mind that I could do this, but I think it really came down to my coach mentoring me one-on-one. She has I don't want to say she's different than other Beachbody coaches, because she didn't do like a lot of like Facebook like trainings or anything like that. She was very personal, very like one-on-one with me. Um, and even if I didn't, I mean, I don't think I hit Success Club for the first 3 months. I'm like, why the hell did you like put so much time into me? She just said, I saw it. So sometimes like she just believed it even more for me than I did for myself. So when I see it, and I have some coaches like that that have struggled for, I have one coach, I didn't even have her on my board as a diamond coach. She was a coach for 2 years, maybe sat at Emerald with like her mom and her spouse. And last year she went diamond, and something just switched for her. But I always poured belief into her, regardless if she gave me a Success Club point or not. So,
Yeah.
and I think that was very important for me and our team culture, is knowing that they're just not another number, that we're a family, that we care about each other. And I think that, like when all the keto stuff happened like 3 years ago, or this happened or that happened, like our team is pretty stable because we're all just best friends now, and regardless of the business or not. So I think
Yeah.
that had a huge influence on me continuing, because I couldn't quit
Yeah.
because they were here too.
Yeah. I loved when you shared that people come, like, that people are going to come around sooner, like later, even if it's not right now. I see that all the time. And it's kind of like, I kind of joke with it sometimes with my newer coaches when, in their first few months and they start creating a list of 100 people and they start thinking about everybody they know so they can start these conversations and do these invites. And I joke with them and I say, like, hey, if you decide that you're just going to quit, like you don't want to work through the hard and everything, would you just please hand me that list? Because they're going to be like, you're going to do all the hard work of the first invites. And then, 8 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, they're going to come and they're going to sign up with me. Like, that's what's going to happen if you quit. And it's just kind of like that little poking jab of like, you have to stay consistent and you have to be here when they're ready. And I love, for example, in our team cup, one of my girls really wanted to hit Success Club for the first time. She went Emerald, but she missed Success Club. But I loved what she wrote in there, just about, it was this long paragraph about what she's learned. And she's just shared, like, I've made the decision that I don't ever want to be in a position where someone comes to me and says, I need help with a program. And I have to tell them, sorry, I'm not doing that anymore. She made that decision. I think when you make that decision, like, I get the chills when I just repeat what she said. I'm like, okay, she gets it.
That's a
Like,
good one.
yeah,
That's a good reminder.
just making
And
that
I and
decision.
I and I think too, for like, what I tell myself is, when somebody says no, I don't take offense to it, and I don't give up on them. Like, I just tell myself I'm that much closer to a yes.
Yes.
That's it, right? Like, you can either let it defeat you or you can let it empower you. I choose to let it empower me and say, all right, it's going to be next month, right? So whatever kind of like way you need to like tell your story in your head of like, oh, they'll sign up next month, or next person I talk to is going to be a yes, like, that's what's going to get you from this conversation to the next, right? Because sometimes it's so hard to like see down the road in a year or 2 years, right? Where people can be, or where you can be in your business. But if you just take it like one little step, one person. And that's what I tell my girls too, is like, you see some coaches like hitting like Success Club 100. And guys, I'll be honest, you don't need to do that to build this business. I built my business in the beginning, I would say Success Club 5, now definitely like 10. But that's really all you need. It doesn't take a million people. It just takes a few good people that stick around. So you got to stick around for that, right? For them to stick around.
Yeah. I'm liking this conversation. It makes me think about, I don't remember where I heard this or read it. It was in a comment thread somewhere, but it was along the lines of like Success Club 5, which is selling $360 packages in a month. And they were just given the analogy, like, if you are in any sales job in the world, other than selling like extremely expensive houses, like, if you were not producing or selling $360 packages in a month, like, you wouldn't have a job, like in a real sales job, like that you went to. And just really emphasizing, like, it's not that much work to be able to find and help 3 people get started on something with as much value as we have in what we offer for $160. It's like absolutely incredible. Just something that was on my mind as you were sharing that too.
No, totally. I love that
It kind of like puts
perspective.
perspective into it, right? So I love that you shared that you don't hit 100. I've never hit more than 100 or Success Club 50. I've never hit more than Success Club 50 in 10 years in a month. So yeah, you don't have to have those huge numbers. I love the story of my second girl that hit the million club, my second personally sponsored coach that hit the million club. She is the third coach that ever joined my team. And she didn't hit success. She hit Success Club like 3 times in her first year. And she didn't hit Success Club consistently, like every month. She didn't become an all-star until that started at month 18. Like a year and a half in before she started hitting Success Club every month. And I'm just going to kind of reiterate her story. It's Jennifer Greenberg, by the way. Rose, you met her at the retreat as well. Super introverted as well. And she, once she at 18 months hit Success Club 5 every single month, that's the year she went from, like, she hit diamond about the time she hit Success Club every month. So like around month 14, month 18, she starts hitting Success Club consistently. And then she hits Success Club for an entire year. So from year 1.5 to year 2.5. And she hit Success Club every single month. And in that year, she went from that shaky diamond to 5-star and elite. And she went to the leaders. She earned the leadership retreat with Beachbody. And I remember sitting with her husband and her and Gabby in the jacuzzi at the hotel. And she's like, I just don't know what to do, like, to lead my team. Like, I'm doing everything I can. Like, how many times have you ever said, like, I'm doing everything I can? And she's like, I'm doing everything I can. I don't know what to do to go beyond what we've done. And it was just simple. I was like, hit Success Club 10, because she hit Success Club 5 every single month. And her look on her face was like, Success Club 10? I've never hit Success Club 10 before. And I was like, because you've never decided to hit Success Club 10. You've never made that decision. Well, that was October of 2013. And guess what happened in October of 2013? Success Club 10 for the first time. And then she hit it every single month after that. And then 2 years later was in the million club. And it was like, she thought she was doing everything she possibly could. So what I want you to think about is what you want to accomplish in your business, and are you really doing everything that you possibly can? Because right now, I said that question, I'm like, crap, Scotty, you're not doing everything that you possibly can to achieve that next goal too. So I think that's a great question to ask ourselves. Are we doing everything that we possibly can? It doesn't mean more hours. Like Success Club 10 for Jennifer didn't mean more hours. It just meant a deeper level of commitment and what she wanted to accomplish, right? Cool. Well, we'll let everybody go. I don't see any questions coming in. Rose, I want to say thank you for getting a babysitter for your 2-year-old, for hiding out in your
No, I would have had her here anyways.
and hiding out in the closet. We have a paid babysitter as well. My dad works for us every day from 10 to 3. So I know what that's like.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you could be here with us. We're thankful for the knowledge that you shared with us and for sharing your story. And it's exciting to see that you get to spend your time where you want to spend it with your little one and doing what you love. So thank you. Okay, everyone, remember next week's calls will move to 1:00 p.m. Mountain Time, and I hope to see you guys there. Invite your teams, invite your prospects as well. Like always, if I have a customer that's on the fence of being a coach, I'm just like, come listen, or just come see what we even do. If you're like nervous about what it is, just come watch. So feel free to invite anyone you want, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Rose.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.